Purim Sameach! We all know the story, of course. Queen Vashti gets banished because she didn't want to show it all at a party of King Achashverosh's drunk friends. So, of course, that snake decides to round up all the pretty young ladies into a harem from which he can take his pick for his new queen. He picks Esther, who he doesn't know is actually a Jew originally named Hadassah. And we all know that Esther goes on to save the Jewish people from Haman's evil and Achashverosh's gullibility through shrewdness and wit. Cleverness, shrewdness, and wit. Where have we heard that before? You see, Megillat Esther is a book that upends expectations. Much is left out of the text and left for the reader to discover on their own. Even Hashem himself is left completely unmentioned in the entire Megillah. The written Torah is also notorious for excluding important details that are expanded upon in oral tradition. What the Megillah and the Torah are not telling you is that Achashverosh himself is who tricked Chava into eating the fruit. In Bereshit 3:1, we learned that the serpent, Nachash, in Hebrew, Nachash, was the shrewdest of all the beasts that Hashem made. And to the woman Chava, the Nachash said, "Did Hashem really say you shall not eat any of the tree, of any tree in the garden?" But Rebbetzin Leah, you might ask, what does the Nachash from Bereshit have to do with Esther and Achashverosh? Those events are 3,398 years apart. Now, it is important to know here that Achashverosh is, in fact, the same Nachash who tricked Chava. And how do we know this? The answer is hidden in the simanim that we eat on Rosh Hashanah. We dip an apple, like Chava ate in Gan Eden, in honey on Rosh Hashanah. What is honey in Hebrew? Dvash, in memory of the sweet but wronged Vashti. Rosh means head, and the Nachash's featured trait is shrewdness of his head. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the new year, just as Bereshit is the beginning of the Torah and time itself. And so the name Achashverosh, meaning serpent, and head, is meant to tell us that it is the same character who tricked Chava. Okay, but where else is this truth hidden? Megillat Esther is a book full of banquets and over-the-top fancy parties and pomp. Think Downton Abbey, but with more of that sand that Anakin Skywalker complains about. Anyway, all of these banquet scenes go to the effort to describe all of the wine. But do you know what isn't described? Food. And why is that? We know that in Bereshit, Achashverosh was cursed to eat dust, so clearly only the wine was fancy enough to be included in the tale. But Rebbetzin Leah, you might say, Achashverosh is clearly a man. In chapter 7 of the Megillah, he rises and leaves the banquet in fury. The Nachash in Bereshit is sentenced to limblessness, you say. But you see, the Megillah says that he rises and leaves. It does not say that he stands and walks from the room. Serpents are perfectly capable of raising significant portions of their body off the ground and then leaving from a room. But Rebbetzin Leah, you say, in chapter 8, it clearly says that Esther weeps at the feet of Achashverosh. This is another of the Megillah's hidden mysteries. Knowing as we clearly do that Achashverosh is the serpent from Bereshit, and as such, he is lacking in limbs of his own, The feat at which Esther weeps cannot possibly be attached to Nachashverosh's body. But the answer is simple. Nachashverosh is the king. He rests his coils upon the throne of Persia. So the feet at which Esther weeps are clearly those of the throne itself. Now, of course, 3,398 years of guzzling wine at parties doesn't do the wits any favors. So by the time of Esther, Nachashverosh is much less shrewd than he used to be. And so Esther is able to use the wisdom that she has learned from her foremothers to trick the serpent in turn and save her people from Haman at the same time. Unfortunately, to defeat Haman, Esther's shrewdness had to build up Nachashverosh. We long for the day when we can finally stomp upon Nachashverosh outright and return to Gan Eden in the time of Mashiach. L'chaim and Chag Sameach.